Welcome back. MLK Day became a national holiday 38 years ago, but it would take almost another 30 years for all 50 states to make the day a state government holiday. King, whose birthday is on January 15th, was the first modern private citizen to be honored with a federal holiday. After 3 decades of contention and controversy, the holiday is now observed, of course, on the third Monday in January. And here in Boston, where King earned a doctorate in systematic theology at Boston University in 1955, the city is moving forward with plans to erect the 22-foot Embrace Memorial on Boston Common, which depicts King's hands and those of his wife, Coretta Scott King. Joining us today is Amari Parris Jeffries, the new executive director of King Boston. Welcome to Cityline. How are you today, Amari? Good to see you.
I'm doing fantastic. Great seeing you, Karen.
What do you think Dr. King would think about the events of the past year and the Black Lives Matter movement?
I think Dr. King would be excited, and one of the things that was important to Dr. King was this idea of learning and evolving. And so, Dr. King started strongly focusing on civil rights, and towards the end of his legacy before he was assassinated, had expanded his views to poverty, to housing, to racial equity. And so there was a myriad of issues that were important to Dr. King's movement. And so we were fortunate that one of those movements was in Boston. Dr. King and Mrs. King returned in 1965 for the Freedom Rally, which was led by Boston activists and focused on 4 things: housing, racial equity, public education, and racial education. And
there's so many things that Dr. King was fighting for that King Boston is going to address. King Boston received more than $2.75 million in donations to fight racial equality and economic justice. Again, as you just said, something that Dr. King was fighting for, economic justice, which was an underpinning of some of what happened this past summer. So talk to us a little bit more about that fabulous grant you received.
Well, yeah, we've gotten a lot of support, and and people have asked me. It has King Boston emerged in this time, and I would say King Boston did not emerge during this time as a result of just coming out of nowhere. I think we are a direct response around, centered on Boston's excitement that's going on in our city. Right now, we have an incredible Congresswoman. We have a African-American woman, DA. We are soon to have the first female and Black mayor of Boston. We have a Black law enforcement officials and our sheriff and our police chief. We're in the middle of a third reconstruction in Boston, and I think King Boston is in the middle of that. We exist as a result of the movement that is already occurring in our city.
Talk to us about the King Center for Economic Justice. Many people know about the physical monument that will be on Boston Common, but don't know as much about the partner piece to this, which is the King Center for Economic Justice, which is located in the Roxbury branch of the Boston Public Library.
Well, I think this current and modern conversations around memorials has evolved. It's no longer appropriate for memorials to be stones and steel. It has to be centered around ideas. And one of the things that we do know that the Daughters of the American Confederacy built about 425 memorials 20, 30 years after the Civil War. And so they were symbols of fear. They were symbols of not welcomed. And so we know that when we're building a memorial today, it has to be more than stone and steel. And so the King Center for Economic Justice was the expansion of the idea of the memorial. It is a research institute that uses data, grassroots organizing, and community to interrogate racism in our city. And so we're excited about this first of its kind community research institution.
And as I understand it, the King Center for Economic Justice is not reinventing the wheel. You're acting as a convener for many organizations that are already doing some of this work in the greater Boston area?
Yeah, Boston is such a rich community, and there's so many higher ed institutions, and we are so fortunate that we have a scholar like Ibram Kendi, who's here running the Anti-Racist Institute. And so King Boston is one of a myriad of institutes that are looking at the ways that racism impacts our city, impacts our state, impacts individuals on a day-to-day basis.
All right, and let's talk a little bit more about the memorial, because everybody keeps asking me, when is it going to be up? So has the pandemic slowed down the progress of the building on the Boston Common?
It has a little bit, and we imagine that it will launch in October of 2022, and so we are finalizing the green light to get that approved. And so, as you know, it's going to be built in the Boston Common, and there's been a moratorium on building in the Common, so there hasn't been a new structure in the Common in over 27 years. And so right now they're doing the archaeological research to make sure that there's no baby dinosaur bones in the Common. And then we're doing the geotechnical to make sure that we don't accidentally cut the Green Line's cords when we're building the Embrace. And so we imagine it's going to take 17 months after the memorial's approved, and so roughly around March. And so we should see something on the ground and breaking the proverbial champagne bottle over this beautiful 3-story memorial in the Common.
So, Amari, you are succeeding the fabulous Marie St. Fleur in this role and about to take the organization to new heights. Tell us what your hopes and dreams are for this next phase of this effort.
Well, you know it's not easy to fill Marie St. Fleur's shoes. She is a big sister and really the person that encouraged me to take this position. She said, Amari, I think you're ready. I think the city needs different leadership. And this is the position for you. And so I'm excited to be here. And I'm here because of two people, Marie St. Fleur and Kate Gedge at the Boston Foundation. And so really when we think about what it means to be the first memorial of this scale built in the country post-pandemic, that this is just not a King Boston moment, but this is a Boston moment. And so part of the holy trinity of King Boston is the Embrace Memorial, is the Center for Economic Justice, and Embrace Ideas. Embrace Ideas is our Equity South by Southwest Festival, which will launch at the same time as the unveiling of the Embrace. And so we're excited to celebrate the Embrace as a Boston moment, not just a King Boston moment.
All right, Amari Paris Jeffries, thank you for being here today to give us an update on what's been happening with King Boston. When we return, engaging law schools and the fight for racial justice.